Hello everybody, this is Adrienne with Essential Soul Coaching. I want to talk about Priscilla Presley today. Now, we all know that she lost Lisa Marie Presley back in, January of 2023 of this year. And now Priscilla had a new movie actually coming out that depicts her life with Elvis. Now, back in the 80s, I told y'all before I watched the movie Elvis and Me, and I read the book Elvis and Me, and I believe that this new movie is going to be a redo of the movie. Okay, so it's nothing new except for Sophie Coppola, I believe she's the director of the film. She's taking a new look at it from her perspective, and Priscilla and she are out there. They are promoting the movie. I'm not going to watch the movie, okay, because I have seen Priscilla go from this person who I believe was the savior of Graceland to now I see that this lady is power hungry for money and the legacy. And she's now calling Elvis the love of her life, although she was with other people longer than she was with Elvis.
He was the love of my life. It was the lifestyle that was so difficult for me. And I think any woman can relate to that.
Finally, after 6 years, he asked you to marry him. How come? What happened? Suggestion I think came from Colonel Parker, maybe you should either get married or go on. If you're not going to get married, then what are you doing?
See, he and I, when we got home, we had a bad argument. Look, you got to understand I'm under a lot of pressure. Yeah, what kind of pressure? Just like that. And he said they're pressuring me into marrying Priscilla. And I looked at him and said, what do you mean, who's pressuring me? He said, her father. He threatened to sue me if I don't marry her, breach a promise,
and she wants to be buried at Graceland beside him, which is a farce because she divorced him. And people calling her his widow. She is not his widow. She divorced him in 1973. So we need to get that all straight. She is not his widow, okay? And they weren't really together since, 1970, 1971, something like that. They were separated initially. So my thing is, she's doing Agent Elvis. She's doing all these promos about Elvis. But you know what I haven't heard this whole year from her? Other than when her daughter died and at the funeral, she hasn't mentioned Lisa at all. She did sue the state and wanted to get her name back on as trustee of the Graceland estate. And then thank God she lost that and it's gone to her granddaughter, Riley. Thank you, Jesus, for that. But she is capitalizing on that name. A lot of people are upset about the movie. She did have a hand in the Elvis movie with Baz last year, which was a pretty decent movie. I saw it. It was okay. But Priscilla's always trying to get her point of view in every single movie or documentary about Elvis. And then the thing that I want to really talk about today is that she said that she and Elvis never had sex because she was 14 and he respected that.
Even though I was 14, I was actually a little bit older in life, not in numbers. And that was the attraction. And, people think, oh, it was sex, it was this. Not at all. I never had sex with him. He was very kind, very soft, very loving, but he also respected the fact I was only 14 years old. We were more in mind and thought. And that was our relationship.
I'm an Elvis fan, y'all, but I remember when I was 14 years old, and now she's saying she's with a 24-year-old guy who's a superstar at the time, living in Germany, in the military, and she said there was no sex or anything. Now, in her book, Elvis and Me, she talked about him taking pictures, and there was other ways of pleasuring each other. So if there was other ways of pleasuring each other, and he took pictures of her, okay, I am saying that something happened more than what she's trying to say now, because she doesn't want to blemish his name. But then she also did a interview with Barbara Walters, I think in the early 80s, around the time the book came out.
Priscilla, why? Well, again, I can only go back to what his concept was as what he wanted in a woman. And somewhere he, along in his past, he said that he wanted a virgin. Yet, you're also right that you and Elvis took dozens and dozens of Polaroid pictures acting out your fantasies. All different kinds of fantasies. You learned to turn him on sexually even though you never had intercourse. You did say, though, under no circumstances were his ideas or playfulness ever perverted. No. Do you feel the same way today now that you're older and you look back?
No, I can't say it's a perversion. I really can't say that. I mean, nothing was harmful. Nothing was done in bad intent. Nothing.
You wrote, Elvis controlled your looks, your clothes, your hair, your makeup. He controlled you totally. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm. I was definitely under a spell of what I thought was love.
But you were 16, 17 years old.
But what did I know? I knew nothing else. I had nothing else. I had no experience, not even in life, but with other people.
And even though he wanted you virginal and pure, he dressed you sequin, shiny material, low cut, slit up the side. Why?
I think maybe it was his way of showing sophistication. Maybe making me appear older. I don't know. There's some kind of an appeal that men like with a trashy kind of look. Maybe you like that.
That's what turned him on.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that Elvis had hit her at one time. She made a comment about some song he was singing that she was listening to, and she didn't particularly like it, and she told him her opinion about it, and he took the records and threw it across the room, and one of them hit her in the eye and gave her a black eye.
Sometimes when he was irrational, he did hurt you. He once gave you a black eye. He once threw a chair at you. You didn't like something he sang,
No.
and he threw a chair at you.
Mm-hmm. And it had records on it, and the records went all over the place.
Okay, she said in the book also that he raped her after she got married to him, and he didn't want to have sex with her anymore after they had Lisa, and then he I guess he found out she may have been messing around, and so then he raped her, when they were still married.
So every night he took the pills and he gave them to you too?
Yes.
And they became normal?
Mm-hmm.
Was he good to you?
Very.
Was he also bad to you?
When you say bad to me, I don't think it wasn't bad to me in a way that, intentional bad.
He would leave you. You would go off to make pictures. He would go off to Las Vegas. And you heard about other women.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you feel? What'd you do about it?
I felt horrible. It was almost a part of, it was the fear that I had too. I didn't want him to leave my sight. I wanted to be with him, because if I left him again, that fear always came in. I'm going to lose him.
I mean, there was a lot of things she's saying now. She's trying to backtrack. And I'm like, Priscilla, no, I'm going to throw out a card on that one. I bought my Tinker's Tarot, and we're going to read one card. I'm going to read on what Elvis did to her, because we don't want to get into that. But we want to read on what is her ulterior motive for this movie. What is her ulterior motive for this movie? Because Priscilla said a whole lot of things in the press since Elvis has died, and especially since his legacy has continued to grow over the past, 40 years, 45 years plus, whatever. What is her ultimatum? What is her ulterior motive for this movie? And I've got the card, and the card is, let me put my glasses on. It is the Page of Water. It says Curry of Water, but it's the Page of Water. So, the Page of Cups, someone who's young, in love, new relationship, immature in a relationship, just learning about themselves. That's what she was when she was 14. She was just learning about herself. Who was she as a female, as a woman? She was very, very young, of course, when she met Elvis, and yeah, I kind of think he took advantage of her. I think over the years she's tried to protect his reputation, but after he divorced her, or they divorced, I think she didn't care, and he died. I don't think she really cared about what she said about him because it made money, and now she is retracting what happened, what truly happened. So her thing is now to make it look like an innocent love story, that it was just, he just loved to talk to me, and that's all it was. But we know that Elvis liked a lot of young girls after he got divorced. There are a lot of stories out there about all the young girls he would have hang around the house even when he was older. Lots of stories and lots of books on it, y'all. If y'all want to read up on it, I'll leave a couple links of stories of women who wrote stories about Elvis when they were young and they were seeing him. I mean, it was back in the 60s and, well, really the 70s, but, it is what it is. Leopard doesn't change its spots. So what we're going to do is pull a card. what was Elvis's true intentions for Priscilla when he first met her. And this is the first card I pulled out. It is, glasses again, Six of Water. Six of Water, Six of Cups. It's about youth. It's about, he liked young girls. He liked young women, y'all. That's all to it. He liked them. He liked them young. He liked them really young, you know, so he could groom them and help, you know, they wouldn't, a lot of young girls aren't going to speak up. They don't know what they really want, and they follow rules, and they follow what the older people tell them. So he was more mature than she was. He was a superstar, so of course she did whatever he told her to do, right? And that's what he liked, to be able to work with malleable people who actually didn't know better. Okay, and that's what he was looking for with her. Now, my other question is, people saying he didn't really want to marry Priscilla, that her father called the colonel and told the colonel that Elvis had been living, you know, Priscilla had been living with Elvis for a few years at Graceland, and that his idea was that Elvis had promised to marry her, and that's why all this was happening. And then he didn't want to marry her after 7 years, and so he was like, nah, if you don't marry her, then I might have to go to sue you for breach of contract. So did Elvis truly want to marry Priscilla? Because Priscilla said he wanted to marry her. Her father had nothing to do with that. So I'm going to pull a card, and this is the card. And the card it's reversed. It is Three of Water, Three of Cups, y'all. Three of Cups, it is reversed. That man did not want to marry her. She had outgrown him. She turned 21, and that's when he married her. And that was after the rest. That they were going to sue. He was going to be sued by her father if he did. And then with the Jerry Lee issue, where he married his cousin, who was 15 years old, and he lost his career for a very long time. Elvis understood that, and he did not want to lose his career. He was really, because one of the things his father always told him is one day all this disappear, and it was always on his mind that he, you know, because they grew up poor, that this could be just a dream, and one day it could just poof go away. And now that he's been living with Priscilla, even though he was seeing other women at the time, she was living there, and that would have looked really bad on him, and he felt like it could all be gone. So he married her. But his friends and his bodyguards all came out later and said he never should have gotten married because he was a ladies' man. He didn't want to be tied down to any one woman more than 5 years, and that's just the way it was. And so you notice he never got married again. He knew to get rid of them after so many years because there were, you know, common law issues and all that stuff depending on the state you're living in. So he didn't want to marry Priscilla. Now the other question I want to ask is, did he truly love Priscilla when they were married? Did he love her when they were married? The card popped out. This is the card, which is the Page of Wands. Did he love her? It's like a new opportunity. He was, you know, you're young and you're immature and you're starting something new. Okay, marriage was new to both of them. He wasn't wise in love. It was more that he had to do it. So he was the one being told, it's time for you to get married by the colonel and his father. Like, you done got yourself in a situation, you need to do something about it. And it's not something he really wanted. It was something he was told to do like a child. And he figured, if I lose all this stuff over her, it's not gonna be worth it. So he married her. Now, let me just go back to this because I know a lot about Elvis history. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. And one of the things that happened, even in her book, Elvis and Me, she said this herself, and in the movie, she said that when she was pregnant, early in her pregnancy, and y'all know she got pregnant almost immediately after they got married because she had the baby 9 months after the wedding date, is he asked for a separation. So he was not in love with her. He did not want to get married. He did it just to get married, and then he thought he could probably marry her and then get out of it really quick. But she was pregnant, that causes other problems. Then he had the 68 special, and that popped off, and his whole career changed. But then there was more women. So what he did was really passive aggressive, I think, in a lot of ways, because he could have been monogamous with her, but he chose not to be from the get-go, even when he was seeing her when she was young, and it was something he was going to continue to do, because that's how she got him, by him seeing other women and having her there as a young child or a young teenager. And so he felt like he can get married to her and get out of it quickly. The surprise was the girl got pregnant really, really quick, like Meghan Markle got really quickly pregnant with Harry's child. And that's what you do when you get with a star like that, and you know he's big and all these women want him, and he's probably not faithful. Get pregnant, and you have longevity with that particular person. You have that string attached with that person, that cord attached, because now you got a child in between you. You just can't just get up and just leave that easily. So she got pregnant, and so he couldn't. So for a while he stayed with her, with the charade, and things just got worse and worse over time. But for her to go down and say that he's the love of her life, I can't attest to whether he was or he was not. But she is definitely using that now as the reason why she can go around and talk about Elvis. And so she is the only one that knows anything about Elvis, and capitalizing off of that fortune, that name, that personality. And people who like Elvis, a lot of people, not all of them, are starting to see Priscilla for who she is. And that is a gold digger. And it's all about herself. And as I said again, she has not spoken about Lisa Marie. And maybe one of the things she should have done, it would have been nice to know and do, was to maybe do an interview about her relationship with Lisa. She didn't have to do it, but I think that would have been more of a revelational interview or documentary to do with her relationship with Lisa Marie, because Lisa had a lot of problems. And I think there's a lot she can do to help people understand how to deal with oppositional children and people with those kids with those type of behavior issues, and how it related to her and Elvis. And I think that would add more value to her story than doing another retake on the Elvis and Me movie. So if y'all want to see it, I think it comes out in October. I believe so. By Sophia Coppola. She's a director, and Priscilla, that's for you to do. That I am not going to watch it because I am not a fan anymore of Priscilla Presley. But hey, you're welcome to do so. I just wanted to give a little chat on what I think about what's been happening over the past few months since Lisa's has left us. And so I want to thank y'all for joining me today. If you have any questions for me, let me know down in the comments what you think about Priscilla Presley. What do you think is going on with her? And also, are you going to watch the movie that comes out in October about Elvis and Me? I don't know if it's going to be called Elvis and Me or it's just going to be called Priscilla, but it's still a retake of the book Elvis and Me, okay? So anyway, y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Blessings.